And one of Davis's lawyers, Matt Staver, joins us now from Tallahassee to sort out those legal questions. Davis filed an appeal on Friday, Matt, asking to ban all marriage licenses in her office until a lawsuit against her is settled. When do you expect a decision on that?
Well, the briefing on that particular one is due by the end of tomorrow, and then Wednesday morning we'll file our final brief. So within hours of us filing this request on Friday of last week, the Court of Appeals issued a very quick briefing schedule. So they're moving this up on the docket very quickly. And one of the issues that we have among many is that in the Thursday contempt hearing, Judge Bunning, without any notice and frankly with really no authority, expanded the injunction beyond the original plaintiffs to essentially everyone in the world, meaning that this injunction would stay open forever. And frankly, at this point, the injunction is moot because those individuals who wanted a license got a license, and therefore you should not expand this to everyone in the world. So that is one of the key issues that is before the Court of Appeals that they're taking up very quickly.
Matt, what is your response to the criticism, which I'm sure you've heard by now? People who oppose Kim Davis on this issue say that if she does not want to follow the requirements of her government position, why doesn't she just resign?
Well, you know, Kim Davis was elected by the people. If they want to remove her, certainly the legislature has that opportunity to impeach her. But there's been no call for that, and I think, frankly, there would be no will to do that. I think she has a lot of support, not only in Rowan County, but across the state of Kentucky. They don't want to have her leave. She's doing her job. It's a job that she's done for many, many years. She's doing it very well. She's returning $1.5 million.
But Matt, she's not doing her job. They're paying her $80,000 a year, taxpayers are, to do a job that she's refusing to do. How does she rationalize that salary?
Well, I mean, she's actually saving the taxpayers $1.5 million this year under her leadership. But besides that, she is doing her job. She's asking for what most Americans take for granted, and that is a reasonable accommodation, whether you're in private or public office, or certainly here in Kentucky under the Kentucky Religious Freedom Restoration Act. She's asking to be able to do her job just with a slight, reasonable modification, accommodation of her faith, to remove her name and her license or her title from the license. That's all she's asking for. That could be done very quickly. We still call upon the governor to act and the legislature to act. And so Kim Davis struggled with this decision for the last several days. It wasn't until the early morning hours of this morning that she finally concluded and had peace what she would do. And that is, she is balancing making a reasonable good faith effort to comply with Judge Bunning's order without violating her conscience, and consequently removing her name and her title as the clerk of Rowan County from those licenses.
There is a billboard that has been put up, I'm sure you must have heard about, Matt. It's put up by the group called Planting Peace, and it essentially questions the rationale. There is an image of it for our viewers there. It says, "Dear Kim Davis, you can't sell your daughter for 3 goats and a cow," means we've already redefined marriage. What's your response to that, Matt?
It's absolutely insulting to people of faith. And that kind of rhetoric and dialogue doesn't move this discussion forward at all. It really deserves no comment. In this particular case, it is very clear that Kim Davis has a sincerely held religious belief. And it's not unique to Kim Davis, and it's not some antiquated position. It's a position that has been held through millennia of human history, and lots of people, millions and millions of people, are in the exact same position of Kim Davis, not some bizarre, off-the-wall kind of billboard comment. What we need to do is go back to the real issue, and Kim Davis is really at the tip of the spear, like many other Americans, wanting to have their faith and love this country, love their job, and have some reasonable forms of accommodation.
But Matt, as a lawyer, this is a Supreme Court order. So is this really about religion?
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is the Supreme Court did not address any issue with regards to religious accommodation. And in fact, the dissenters and everyone who watches this opinion clearly understands that these kinds of reasonable accommodation requests are coming back to the Supreme Court. It's one thing, for example, to have some kind of ruling, whether it's a court order or a statute, and then just simply ask for a reasonable accommodation based upon religion. That's required by not only federal constitutional law, but federal and state law as well. And so that is something that has been very much part of who we are. Not violating a law, but having a reasonable accommodation to accomplish the interest at issue, without violating your conscience. And so that's what Kim Davis's case is about. It's not a direct challenge to any particular court ruling. It's just asking for a reasonable accommodation. And whether this case or some other case like her goes up to the Supreme Court, there's no question that these kinds of cases will be back before the High Court in not too distant future.
All right. Matt Staver, attorney for Kim Davis, thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.